episode 1 of the Planet FreePlay podcast. I'm Moshboy, and this is Phantz.
Hello.
Basically, for those who don't know, we run a site called Planet FreePlay, which is at www.planetfreeplay.com. It's a freeware game site, and I'm not sure who's aware of what freeware games are, or there's a lot of misconceptions about what freeware games are, and they're basically all crap. And basically, a lot of them are crap. But there's also a lot of good games that you can find and play, and et cetera, et cetera.
But that's one of the good things about our site is we even put the crap ones there, so you can work that one out for yourself.
That's right. We love the crap as much as the good stuff. Anyway, freeware games don't really have an official definition. Going by Wikipedia say freeware refers to software that can be used, downloaded, or distributed free of charge, which basically means that freeware games are jumped upon by freeware sites, which basically means as long as the games are free, whether they are even open source or free software, which is actually technically different from freeware games, it'll be jumped upon by various freeware sites and basically automatically considered freeware. Basically, there is a lot of people that think that freeware and free games and things like Abandonware are also related, and I'd just like to stress that Abandonware is completely different from freeware. Abandonware is actually stuff that is abandoned by its owners, authors, distributors, not supported anymore. Hence, certain sites will host these games basically to save the games from being lost completely. Some people see this as bad, other people see it as good. You'll probably find a lot of sites that actually...
Don't some of the companies actually go after these people?
Yeah, there's a group, I completely forget the name for the moment, but there is a group that actually, goes after these Abandonware sites, and it basically tries to close them down. For the most part, though, Abandonware is actually ignored by the authorities. It's pretty much, they just turn a blind eye to it. I mean, it's generally considered...
If this stuff has been abandoned by the companies and things, then why do some of them care if people are distributing them if they're no longer trying to make money off them, or they're not have anything to do with them?
Well, basically, like for example, certain licenses are used in future releases. Say for example, a game like Duke Nukem, which is now very old, and which actually isn't considered Abandonware yet anyway, but so I guess bad example, but just say that was considered Abandonware. Well, the thing is that because Duke Nukem is planned to be used in future games, not so much the developer themselves, but more the company that distributes the game will consider this a threat to their monetary gain from future releases. Hence, they're going to try and stop any distribution of games of that ilk. So, hence, that's, I guess, the point of view that they're coming from, which is understandable to a certain degree. But I mean, I personally have no problem with Abandonware. I think that it's.
But we don't have any on our site, do we?
No,
because we don't want to get sued.
What's that?
I said because we don't want to get sued.
Exactly. No, we don't want our site closed down. We feature completely legal freeware games, although we do the same things as other freeware sites, and we do feature some open source free games, which technically isn't freeware. But anyway,
still good stuff though. Like there's some there's some open source ones that are pretty kick ass.
Yeah, like Kiki the Nanobot, Neverball, stuff like that. Great games. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, so you'll find certain sites that feature a mixture of Abandonware and freeware. Like for example, the Underdogs, which you can find at www.the-underdogs.org, which is, an extremely huge site, got a really good selection of freeware, but it's also got a really big selection of abandonware as well. So, look, I personally love the site, but it has in the past apparently received cease and desist letters to close down. I don't know how they sorted that out, but they survived it, so they're doing all right for themselves.
That one's pretty popular, isn't it? They get a lot of hits.
Oh, they definitely, definitely. Probably the only part of the freeware scene or freeware games is, I guess, on a grey line would be the fact that certain remakes or games inspired by past games actually use rips of graphics that were used in the original games, and technically this is actually not totally legal.
So they're not. Is it that they're reproducing them that closely, or they're actually sort of extracting these graphics from the old games?
That's right. They do. They rip them from the old game. Not always. Some people actually recreate these games from scratch, but there are others that actually rip the graphics. Which I really don't care either way. I don't think it does much harm, but you'll find the occasional person might be offended by it, but generally it's considered pretty harmless. So yeah.
Well, being that they're free, they're not really, they're not making any money off it.
Well, that's right. I don't know why anyone will care, but, occasionally you'll find look, I haven't heard of any projects actually getting closed down from graphics being ripped from a game. Usually projects actually get closed down for other reasons. For example, recently King's Quest, a fan-made King's Quest game, King's Quest 9, something like that. I can't remember. I'm not really up with it, but was closed down by Vivendi because they owned the license to King's Quest, so they considered it a threat to the whole King's Quest series. But funnily enough, recently a petition was started and they got it reopened, so that's good news for that.
Oh, really?
Anyway. Yeah.
So Vivendi said it's cool, you can do it?
Yeah, they released a statement saying it was not cool, and they released another statement saying it was cool again. So, good news for them, or the developers of that particular project, anyway.
Because it's not like they don't already have $1 million bajillion in, a little freeware game that shouldn't ruin their empire.
That's what I think, but companies are greedy, I guess. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll move on to basically just giving you an overview of the freeware scene in general. Just some of the bigger sites that are out there, some of the smaller sites that are out there, just places you can find news in general.
I suppose actually, before you go on to the sites, I think one thing that's important to point out about our site is that Planet FreePlay is a freeware game site, but it's a bit different from the others because what we're actually trying to do is not be so much as the biggest, best freeware site, but just to help people find in general. So you'll find if you go to a game on our website, we don't even actually have the files to download, but we can tell you, maybe 2, 3, 4 other sites that do have it where you can get it and you can pick from whichever one's downloading the best for you, whatever. We're more of like a directory.
Well, that's right. The whole aim of Planet FreePlay, we're not competing with any sites. We're only out there to promote other sites. We're really basically there to be a freeware resource. Like I said, we have the download links, but we also have, we basically give people access to various reviews of each game, so they might be able to get an overview of various reviews from the various sites. We do want to eventually have our own reviews, but that's going to take some time, and we're not a huge site yet, but we've only been around about 6 months or so,
yeah,
we're slowly getting there. But
decent amount of games, but we're approaching up on 800 now.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is good.
Getting there. It's slowed down a bit, but it'll speed up again soon, I'm sure. anyway, the first site I would like to talk about is Game Hippo. Game Hippo is basically considered the granddaddy of all freeware sites. It's been around since about 1998, I think. Back then, I can't remember what the domain it was under, but it wasn't under the same name. I think it was freegames dot something or other. And then later on, they changed again, and then finally they changed to www.gamehippo.com. They have a pretty good selection of games. They hosted their files up until a point, and then they stopped, which presumably is to do with the cost of bandwidth. One problem I've sort of found with Game Hippo is that they have some broken links, but they do have a report broken link function. Well, whether or not it works, or whether or not admin acts on it I'm not really sure, because I haven't actually bothered to visit a link twice, so I really can't comment on whether or not that works. I would hope it does, but I mean, in general, they're a pretty good site. They have decent reviews, some broken down links, but very, very, usually decent reviews, a little bit on the short side. Generally a decently friendly community, although sometimes I almost have this distinct feeling that they're probably a little bit complacent about their position in the freeware community. But generally, you guys going to rate them out of 10, I'd probably rate them at a 7 out of 10. The next site I would like to
nice
talk
design
about
too. I like the look of it.
That's right. Yeah, that's. I forgot about the design. Yeah, the design is pretty good. In fact, out of all the sites, they've probably got the most advanced design, probably the most features. Their search feature is pretty good. It's got a lot of fields that you can search via, which includes how the game was made. For example, whether it was made with Dark Basic or whatever language it was made with. So yeah, pretty good. The next site I would like to talk about is a site called AcidPlay, and it's probably overall my favorite site, even though it has the least amount of games. I actually reviewed for the site. It has around about, I think,
657 games exactly.
There you go, 657 games. Like I said, the least amount, but pretty much a review for every single game. Some of their early reviews are pretty short. I think they probably tightened up their policies a little bit later on.
It's pretty good quality though. You got decent screenshots. You've got files are all hosted there, and it's a decent download speed. It's organized pretty easy to find shit.
That's right. Yeah, they're probably, of all the sites, they're probably the most reliable site to get files from. I mean, I've seen their server go down probably twice in the time I've known the site, which has been over a year, and I think they've been around about probably three or so years now. Their design is pretty good. Probably not quite as advanced as Game Hippo, but still pretty good. I mean, it's pretty easy on the eyes. In certain respects, they're a little bit better than Game Hippo, but in other respects, they're behind Game Hippo. So I'd probably rate them about 8 out of 10. The next site I would like to talk about is Cayman. Cayman is, I don't have a clue how long Cayman have been around. They seem to come on the scene pretty suddenly, actually. But they're, without a doubt, probably they've got the biggest selection of freeware games in the freeware community. They have updates every Friday. Sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're bigger, but generally they update probably faster than any other site. I mean, AcidPlay,
they've got 2,156 games.
That's quite a good deal. Yeah, they update more regularly than probably any other site. Game Hippo update a lot slower than they used to. AcidPlay, not too slow, but they're a bit slower.
Their design's interesting.
It's interesting. I mean, I think it lacks a little bit, but look, they're really well-intentioned people. I mean, we know the webmaster Rudy. We've emailed him, and he's been more than willing to help us out on many occasions. Really nice guy. Like I said, their design probably could use I think a little bit of improvement in general, but overall, a really good site. They, as with any freeware site, there's a lot of basically crap on there, but you've got to remember that a lot of these designers they're either making their first game, or they're just trying to get noticed, or they're just experimenting with code in general. So you've got to be a little bit lenient on some of the games. I mean, they're just designers starting out. So, but yeah, if I was going to rate Cayman, I'd probably rate it, because of the sheer volume of games on their site, I'd probably rate it around about the same as Game Info, which would be 7 out of 10. The next site I would like to talk about is Newton, which is at www.newton.com. And by the way, Cayman is www.cayman.
There was about 8 W's there.
And Acidplay is www.acid-play.com. Anyway, Newton have a decent selection of games. I don't know whether they host any of their own files or not. I'm really unsure about that.
They host a lot of authors' files, don't they?
What's that?
They host to the author's files a lot. Like the author will have the file on their website.
Well, that's right. I mean, what a lot of the sites do is they basically link directly to the author's site or the author's download. And I think Newton do that a lot. I don't know whether, like I said, I don't know whether they started off by hosting their files or not. I was under that impression at one stage, but every time I've gone to their site recently, it's usually links to the author's site. So I don't know. Really, it's a decent enough site in its own respect. My only real problem with it is basically its ads. It's just got too many pop-ups.
Well, it's hard to. Sometimes it's hard. I mean, look, we like the guy. We linked to all his games and stuff. But I mean, you go to the site, right, and you look at a page. Like I've just clicked onto one of the game pages, and you look at it, and it's actually sort of hard to, at a first glance, to see what's the game and what's an ad. I mean, the download now is in a pretty big blue sort of but there's a lot of ads.
That's really probably our only problem with the site. I mean, look, we understand it. Look, maybe the guy's trying to make a living from it, who knows, but, my only real suggestion to improve the site would just be to remove some of the ads. But look, it's everyone, each to their own. I mean, I still use the site as such. I mean, it features a lot of decent games. It has a very decent selection. So I'd probably give it around about 6 out of 10, something like that. The next site I want to talk about is probably a little bit different. It's called Retro Remakes, which you can find at www.remakes.org. Basically, it's a site which, as the title suggests, focuses more often than not on retro remakes, which basically features remakes of all shapes and sizes of some of the older games in the industry, although occasionally you'll find remakes of some of the newer games. A very good selection. They didn't used to feature only freeware. I think in recent times they've tried to update their site so that it only does feature freeware, which is good. I mean, I love freeware. Not that I have anything against shareware or anything, but, trying before you buy, well, it gives me the shit sometimes anyway.
But there was the classic shareware games like Doom and shit. That was... If they hadn't released that as shareware, we wouldn't have the lovey games that we have today.
Well, true. I mean, and I would also like to make a point that we have nothing against commercial software whatsoever. We're not just these people that think that all commercial software is crap. I mean, we have our opinions about the stuff that's out there, and there is a lot of unoriginal stuff that gets released, but that pretty much happens in any walk of the games industry. So
the only thing that shits me with the commercial developers is you get like say take id, right? These guys they're legendary. They've got some of the best games that I reckon have ever been made by id. And one of the biggest franchises is probably the Quake franchise. They've had Quake 2, Quake 3. They're all brilliant games. And, recently, and Doom was another big one too, but recently they released Quake 4. It didn't even make it. It was put out by another studio. I probably should look up who, but I don't remember now. And, when they released Doom 3, that was a pretty game.
Yep.
It looked nice, right? Probably a bit too much graphics, not as much gameplay focus, but it would look nice, right? So,
of course,
Quake 4 is coming out, Doom 3, and you're like, this is gonna be fat, because, Doom 3 looked mad. So you get Quake 4, so you get Quake goodness on the Doom 3 engine, right? I played this game the other day. It sucks.
Right.
And it doesn't. It sucks because it's like they handed it off to this other studio, and at the very beginning of the game, you're sitting in this little shuttle going down to the surface, and there's a soldier across from you, and just his textures look crappy. Like they just sort of, slapped him on there, hurried him up, a bit blurry, a bit fuzzy. They just don't have that detail. Like if you see the monsters in Doom 3, they're just nice. They're badass looking monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, these just didn't have that level of detail and care done to it. So they've obviously gone, let's make some cash. Flogged it off to another studio. They whacked out some piece of crap, and they gave it a name from one of the best franchises there was, and now it's I don't see any hope for Quake 5 really.
Well, I have to say that I'm a bit first-person shooted it out personally. I'm a bit sick of the whole thing. I mean, I'll occasionally go back to a first-person shooter, but in general, I'm just I've just had it a bit with the whole. There's just too many that are released, and they've been dominating the commercial games industry for too long. I just don't like them anymore much, really. So
I tend to stay away from many of them that come out, but I am one that's sort of hooked on the first player games. Like I'm guilty. I am a CS player. I've played CS since they made the first bloody one and played it, until the second one come out. And now I play Source constantly. But I mean, I don't buy every other shooter that comes out. It's not like some people have gotten the formula right and they're fun to play, and I like the multiplayer aspect of that, but. You get stuff like Quake 4, even Fear. Fear was I thought it was just like a crappy Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
Like, it had some shit. It had the bullet time. It had, this, that. But it just didn't look, it looked a bit plasticky. Didn't have that rich warm feel.
There was a lot of hype.
Half-Life 2 did.
There was a lot of hype about it, but didn't ever really excite me. Half-Life 2 was decent, so that's all that really counts.
Right.
Anyway.
But yeah, like we were saying, we have nothing against the big guys, but when they do stupid shit like that, like pawn off, another game in a franchise that's just been legendary, and it just comes out kind of crappy, you can just tell when they're doing stuff for $1 and when they're doing it for the love of the game, sort of thing.
That's right.
That's what shit is.
I mean, even if a game's bad, but you can see they've put some effort into it, I mean, at least they get points for trying, but,
definitely.
If they palm it off to another... Yeah, that's right. Well, if they palm it off to another studio, I mean, you can be pretty sure that they're not going to give a crap, really. Yeah. They just want to make a bit of money, so... But anyway, the next site I'm going to talk about is called The Daily Click, which can be found at www.create-games.com.
One of the things I don't get about that site is their domain has nothing to do with the name of their site.
Yeah, well, who knows?
I just find that funny. But, nothing against the guy, great site, but it's funny names.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty cool site. It's got a lot of cool features. I mean, it's very friendly community, pretty huge selection of games. It's got a feature called Game of the Week each week, which is actually quite a respected prize. A lot of developers really, are proud of themselves if they win that prize each week. So probably the only reason that I don't actually link to each page with each game in that site is because they require you to join their site to download the games. I don't know why that is exactly. I'm assuming it's because of bandwidth issues, but I'm not 100% sure.
It may
but
just
otherwise,
be a form of link control as well. They just might not want people scamming all their files.
no, yeah, it's possible. I mean, look, I could still link to each page, but I don't really, I mean, people are probably going to think that I'm trying to trick them into joining the site and they're giving me money in return or something. I don't know, but I'm just not really keen on doing that. So, but still a great site. I haven't known about the Daily Click for an awful long time, but I think it's been around a while, and it's a very, very decently respected site. And now we move on to some of the smaller directories. The first one I would like to talk about is Abandonware Reloaded, which is
it looks
first of all,
fat.
can be found at exactly.
It's a mad-looking website.
Yep. You can find it at www.reloaded.org. As Phantz said, it is probably the best-looking website that we know about as far as Freeware goes. I mean, it's got really quality reviews. It's got probably the best layout that we know about. Not a huge selection of games at all. In fact, probably not too far over 100 games so far. But
definitely go have a look because it's a cool site.
Yeah, I mean, what it lacks in quantity of games, it makes up for in quality. They're in no rush to, increase their quantity of games just because they want a big site. They've got patience and they're only gonna post quality reviews and they're only gonna post quality art. I mean, they feature interviews as well, which is something that I think we're almost not the only other site that does that also. So, and they have quite a good deal of interviews. So, honestly, regardless of whether or not they feature a lot of games, I mean, you've got to give the site a 9 or a 10 out of 10 just purely based on quality. We would recommend anyone to go to their site.
Yeah. Reloaded.org. Go there.
Yep. They're, for those who don't know, they're a sister site of just plain old Abandonware, which I won't say the web address of here because, as you may guess from the title, they're basically an Abandonware site. Again, very quality Abandonware site, but since we don't talk about Abandonware on here,
because we don't want to get sued because we have no money.
That's right. Where before we could have barely afford the bus or the bus to our computers anyway.
The other thing we should say too, right? Because I just thought of it now, is that for those of you that actually are listening to this podcast, you may realize that you've got one Yank and one Australian dude. It's a bit odd,
right? And we didn't mention which country we came from.
But
so
the thing is,
be wondering where the hell did they come from? Australia or America?
But the thing is, our website, our website is in the States. It's in Kentucky or some shit. We've got a server in somewhere mid-east, some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Middle East.
No way. No, nothing to do with the Middle East. But we're actually, me and Moshboy and I are actually both in Australia, and we run a site in the States because there's not a lot of people in Australia, so we get like 12 visitors. So we thought we'd put the site where the people are, so that we fast for you all. And
I mean, there's only 17 or so million people in Australia, so
and I'm sure only a quarter of them know what a freaking game is. So.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next site. The next site is called PC Gaming, which is, you can find it www.pcgaming.ws. Really, I don't have an awful lot to say about it. I mean, it's got a decent enough design. It's got an average size selection of games to choose from. The reviews generally, from my perception, seem a little bit on the short side. They've got a smallish community. If I had to rate them, I'd probably give them a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I mean, decent site. I don't use them an awful lot, to be completely honest, but that's not because I have anything against their site. I just, there's just a lot of other resources out there that I can use. I mean, we do actually link to their pages, so I mean, we obviously, don't hate their site by any means. Now, next on, we move on to the home of the underdogs, which I mentioned before as being a mixed site with a lot of Abandonware and Freeware. Obviously, I'm commenting on their Freeware section.
Yes, just Freeware.
Yeah, they've got a very, very strong Freeware section. They feature a lot of, because their roots lie in Abandonware, they do actually feature a lot of obscure Freeware titles that other sites don't have. They have a very good understanding of what Freeware actually is. One thing I should mention about Cayman, and I have to apologize to them in advance because it's something that I've noticed and I've been meaning for a long time to post on their forums and inform them about it, is that they do have a couple of Abandonware titles listed within their Freeware directory, and they have them listed as Freeware, which is, I'd say it was probably an accident. I mean, they could be files that they've accidentally gotten from the underdogs and accidentally put on there, but I will have to actually post it on their boards and inform them about which titles they've got that are Abandonware, because I think it's sort of a bit dangerous listing them as Freeware.
Some might not be that obvious. I mean,
no, well, that's right. I mean, look, having known about the Abandonware and Freeware scene for so long, I have a fairly good eye for what is Abandonware.
Didn't we have one Abandonware on our site once?
Yeah, actually, there is one game I'm still sort of a little bit unsure about, actually. It's a Simpsons game, and it's featured on Newton, and it's also featured on Cayman, and no one can seem to tell me whether or not it's listed on Cayman as a remake, but it actually, I have this really strange feeling that it's actually basically
the one called The Simpsons.
That's right, yeah, an original arcade conversion of the arcade game. So I probably will actually have to remove that, I think.
It says a port. You've got it down as a port of the old arcade game.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I said, I'm not 100% sure, to be completely honest, but I think I might remove it just in case anyway. But anyway, getting back to the home of the underdogs, they have an extremely strong section of freeware. They have like 40 pages of something like 30 games per page, which is really good. A lot of really obscure older titles that you might be interested in, but they also feature a lot of newer titles. They used to update a lot faster than they do, but the woman that runs it, who is apparently quite busy, just has seemed to have had less and less time, so the updates have been getting less and less frequent, which is sort of unfortunate. I think she just has a busy job or something like that. But they do really feature very strong entries in the freeware section. So, like, I mean, for example, they have a certain amount of quality control. Basically, she features games that she feels haven't received the attention that they deserved. So, yeah, I'd have to rate them about 9 out of 10 for selection. Their design's a little bit cluttered, but generally pretty good. Okay, going through what else we've got. We've got Mega Games, which I'm not going to say too much about. Basically, they've got a sort of a small dedicated freeware section, around about 300 to 400 games, something like that.
I thought you were going to say 3 games. It's like, that is small.
No, 300 to 400 games. Yeah, I don't use them an awful lot. I mean, I've had some problems with their servers. They're a decent enough site, but they're more of a mainstream, commercial games kind of site. They're pretty big. I mean, they get like 5 million hits a month or something like that. So
yeah, pretty big.
Yeah. Quickly going through the other sites, we've got the Independent Game Source, which you can find at www.tigsource.com. That is basically a news site which features news about independent game releases. It features a lot of freeware news, just basically just a lot of news about freeware game releases in general. It's a really cool site. It's run by this guy called Derek Yu, who made a game called Eternal Daughter, which is an extremely well-respected game in the freeware industry.
He's got a really cool icon. It's like this Atari stick with glasses. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah. You should see the bloody, you should see the banner he has on his personal site. It's him with blood spurting out of his nose, which is pretty cool.
What's his personal site?
I can't remember the address, actually. You'd have to go to TigSource, and there's probably a link on there somewhere. But anyway, quickly going through the other sites, we've got the Independent Gaming blog, which is just basically offcuts of TigSource. It's a blog. It's run by Tim W., who reports some of his stuff to TigSource. Really good blog. I suggest you check it out. And we've also got
Sorry, on the TigSource website, if you go to the About page, there's two stormtroopers taking a leak. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Sorry.
Well,
you have to go to TigSource.com and go to About. This is a funny picture of two stormtroopers taking a leak. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Also, probably the last site we're going to talk about, just very briefly, is called the Freeware Top 40, which can be found at freewaretop40.hostingposts.com. It's basically a top 80 list of freeware sites based on who votes for what site, and it gets listed up the top of the site.
So vote for us.
Yeah, that's right. Vote for us.
And you'll see, if you go to our front page, on Planet FreePlay. And the other thing too is that we bitched a lot about other people's designs. We know ours is very simple, or whatever, but it's supposed to be.
That's right. That's right.
Otherwise, we just suck. If you go to the front page of Planet FreePlay, you'll see our links are just down below the game categories, and there's one that says "Vote for Us." So vote for us. Click there.
Yes, that's right. I mean, look, I don't generally like top lists very much, but I mean, it's a decent top list. The guy that runs it, I think he's Cataray, I think that's his name. He, put some news in there about the freeware scene, and he tries his best to, spice up the site. I mean, it's pretty easy on the eyes, and there's, a lot of, quality developers who I'll talk about in later episodes, are on there, like, Fallen Angel Industries, Free Lunch Design, etc., etc. So, it has got quite a few quality sites. And we're going to feature a bit of news, right now.
On TigSource, did you say Derek Yu was the guy that was the main dude?
Yeah, he runs it, yeah.
Have you seen his freaking, I'm just at his website. He's a crazy drawer.
What?
I'm at his website, DerekU.com.
Yeah, man.
He's got some crazy anime shit going on there.
Yeah, dude, I told you about that ages ago.
He's got like this psycho rabbit and this like giant rabbit mech with Gatling can, like just owning Dog City, which is hilarious.
Oh yeah,
he's crazy bastard.
Yeah.
What is it? What? He's that's insane. What is he? Oh, he's Chinese.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a really cool blog on his personal site. But because I can't tell you the web address, I can't really.
It's DerekU.com. It'll be in the show. If you're not getting any of these links, because Moshboy said like 1,000,005 of them, don't worry, because I'll put them in the show notes. No, actually, I'll make him do it. He'll put them in the show notes.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt I'm making a lot of screw ups as well. So you just have to bear with me. You might end up at some weird porn site that where dogs roam around naked or something, but anyway.
No, I won't be sending anybody to porn sites.
No, I'm kidding. In the first news item, we've got Mario Forever, which is an extremely popular, or probably debatably the most popular Mario clone on the net, which was, a new version was released, 3.0, and it was released with a toolbar, which is required for installation. I think it's powered by Yahoo. It's basically been pretty much rubbish as far as I can tell on a lot of forums. I'm pretty disappointed myself. I mean, it's a
But the thing
cool
is that
game,
you have to install it. Like, you can't. And if you try to
That's
uninstall
right.
it, like just the toolbar, it installs the game.
That's right.
Which is
That's right.
crap.
It installs the whole thing. Yeah, that's right. And aside from that, I mean, I have this odd feeling that unless he's asked permission from Nintendo or whoever is responsible for Mario, really, he shouldn't be making money from a Mario clone. I mean, I can understand maybe if it was an original Freeware game, but a Mario clone? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's a bit ridiculous. But,
it's not like he's conceived it himself.
That's right. It's someone else's character. But I mean, look, even if it was an original game, I would just still say, look, you know, release it as shareware if you want to make some money. Don't try to give people out of freaking whatever by releasing it freaking with a toolbar. But, you know, like, well, hey, whatever. You know, I mean, a lot of people I think have lost a bit of respect for him for doing that, which is a pity because he's obviously a talented designer, but, oh well, bad luck. And, okay, now next we've got a couple of games in progress, which hopefully I can make a bit of a regular segment here. Just basically just featuring a couple of games that are not totally complete, but in progress. The first one, they're both Turrican clones. Now, for those who don't know, Turrican is an old game that was released in the Amiga and Atari ST days, which I don't know, I can't remember what year they're from, but anyway, for those that know, you'll know what I'm talking about. For those that don't, you probably won't have a clue. It's basically a side-scrolling platform shoot 'em up type game where you run around and shoot the crap out of everything that moves. Hurricane is one that's in development. I think the team that's making it is German. If they weren't German, I probably would have tried to get an interview with them by now, but unfortunately I can't because I don't know German. And correct me if I'm wrong,
that's
by
the
the way.
only thing, man, is that I just want to say to Freeware game developers out there, you make some cool games sometimes, but if I can't read the shit, it's hard because, like, I got 4 options in the menu, 4 or 5 options, and, like, I don't know which is new game, save game, whatever. You know, and it's kind of a trial and error thing, and, like, every once in a while I hit quit by accident and I get pissed. So I can pick English. I mean, English, maybe even if you just had the main ones, like English, German, Chinese, Japanese, I don't know. Yeah. Russian. Because I'm sure there's a few dodgy Russians playing Freeware games. I shouldn't say that.
Basically, the first one we're going to talk about is Hurricane. Hurricane's very, very stylish Turrican clone. Basically, the main feature of this is that it's got updated graphics. It's going to have cooperative multiplayer, which is probably the biggest feature that it has.
That'll be cool.
Played it. We both think it's I mean, we've both played it. We both think it's a pretty cool game. So unfortunately, I do not have the web address on me. I'll have to look it up and maybe mention it in another episode, or you can
put it in the show notes.
I'll put it in the show notes. Yeah. But yeah, basically, you know, if you do manage to get the web address, check it out. Really cool. The other one is Cypherian Systems, which is pretty much equally as stylish in its own respect. The graphics are a lot more cartoony, but they're just pretty much just as updated. It's only at version 1.00 beta at the moment, but it's apparently being updated with a lot of new features that were in the original Turrican, like multi-directional shooting and all that sort of stuff. And it's going to have more levels, freer bugs, etc., etc. And basically that's about it, I think.
Cool.
Is that it?
Well,
cool.
What we'll be doing from now on, because this was a big one of those introductory ones where we talk a lot of crap and whatnot, but normally I think what we'll be doing is just talking about news that's going on, new games that we've added to our site or we've seen around or being made, and probably we're going to take a couple games each and review them. So we'll have a game for you to check out. We didn't this week because
Well, basically, we were lazy. Yeah,
we were lazy.
Yeah,
we didn't do
organized.
it.
Yeah.
But it's not because we've been doing other things. We do a lot of stuff. I mean, we got a site with a lot of games on it. It didn't just get there overnight. He put them there. I coded it.
That's right. We're still working on it. And for those interested, hopefully I have organised an interview with the Cypherian Systems guy, so sooner or later, hopefully he'll email me back with the answers to the questions I've sent him, which will be pretty cool. And we've got other interviews in progress too. So
check out the interview section.
Those.
On the site, there's interviews from Kiki, the Nanobot creator, Neverball. That's a fat game. Madness Interactive. Yes, he's cool. Yes, that guy's nuts.
Yes, He is, yes.
He's talented, that guy.
The latest one, the one that's hot off the press at the moment is with Jetro, who I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name, who is the creator of Truck and Stair Dismount, which are some of our favourite games.
There's nothing funnier than a dude flying out a windshield and bouncing off a wall.
that's right.
The game is great. And the Jets game. And Sean Knoll, the creator of the Jets series games, he's a crazy bastard too, because it's like some psychotic anime drug rampage. City.
Yeah,
it's good.
Sounds a bit depressed, that guy, but he's a really cool guy, and Jets is a great game, so check him out. Okay, I guess that about wraps up episode 1 of the Planet FreePlay podcast.
Planet FreePlay.
Planet FreePlay.
We'll get better at this.
We will. That's right. We'll get more polished as time goes on.
And if you've got any feedback, go to planetfreeplay.com. You can just email us at team@planetfreeplay.com and bitch or complain or give a suggestion, send us money, whatever you want.
Yeah, money, that's the important part.
Money, because we can buy better microphones now. We're not worried about that. Just visit the site. Have a look around. Visit some of the other sites.
Yeah, seriously, no. We're always looking for new ideas for the site. So, we're very open to suggestions at the moment. So, you're welcome. Anyway.
All right, we're going to go because this is like 47 minutes and it's going to be a huge ass download that we can't afford. So, we'll let you guys go.
All right.
See you later.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See you later.